Baba is such a good support. It's a wonder we forget it. I was thinking as I sat down on this nice comfortable sofa here, this armchair, it's like, well, we've got a good relationship with Baba. You can just sit back and Baba will hold you like a comfortable armchair. And then sometimes we try to sit without our backs on something, and after some time it starts to ache. Is that right? Some Brahmins are quite good yogis, hatha yogis, but the majority are very much attached to walls and chairs. When we started service in the West, we didn't have chairs in our centres, we just had floor. Sometimes, if we were lucky, some cushions. But the feeling that Baba is there to hold us, wherever we go, is really comforting. And it's like sinking back into a very comfortable armchair. That was my feeling when I sat down here. All of us have had experiences in which we are led to conclude, inevitably, that Baba really is our only support, that we can't depend on anyone, we can't depend on other human beings, we can't depend on circumstances, we can't even depend on our own body, really. Something happens and suddenly we can't function as we used to. Every one of us have had such an experience, right? So I'd like you to think about an experience in which you were led to conclude that Baba really is your only support. Can you think of something? Can you think of a situation? And then I want you to talk to someone near you. So if you're sitting far from somebody, get closer. And try to speak with someone in your own language if you can, if not. But share from the heart the conclusion that you came to when you realized that Baba truly is our only support. Can you do that? With someone near you? Just for a few minutes? Remember a story. What happened? Where were you? Who was there? Silence. Language problem. Well, remember it to yourself if you're alone and in silence. Language. Russia. I'll give you 3 more minutes. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay. It's good to remember the conclusions, isn't it? How come you reached to that point where you decided that, well, Baba really is the only one I can count on when things matter? You can continue your chat at tea time or dinner time. Okay? Tomorrow Baba's coming and we've got to show Baba that, you know, this is not just something that we remember from time to time, but it's real. In fact, it's the thing that I have to sort out. If there's anything that I have to sort out in this Brahman life, is to understand that Baba truly is the only support that matters. And of course, that's not the way we've been living at all. I remember my Lokik brother, he was in Gyan when he was a teenager. But later on he went and moved to where my parents lived, and that was a long way away from any centre, about 500 kilometres away actually. And he drifted away. Several years later I'm visiting Australia, and we were in Canberra, and there was news that there was a flood in Sydney. And the flood was exactly in the area of Sydney where he was living at the time. He'd just gotten married, had a little baby. And can you imagine? He has a house next to the river that was flooding, you know, right on the shore of the river. And he's trying to call, he can't get through. and the news on the radio in the car as we're going up the highway, worse and worse. The water is rising and rising and rising, and we're trying to get through. We can't get through, and he was exasperated. Imagine the situation. You've invested yourself in a situation. You've built it up, and suddenly something is happening that you're not sure about what's going to happen to it. And it was a good chance actually to calm him down, because since he had been in Gyan, I could talk more directly with him about this thing of Baba being the support. We've been in situations where, when we got there, yes, the house was underwater, but the furniture and everything had been moved to the road, and so nothing really happened except a lot of mud got into the house. But otherwise, to see someone, imagine going home and you see there's a fire in your street, and you get closer and you see that actually it's your house that's burning, and you don't know where you are, or suddenly your job changes and you're not going to have the money that you thought you would have to get through, or someone who you really believed in does something that you can't really accept, or so many things, right? So many things. I know you were talking yesterday about acceptance and expectation, but this plays a huge part in where we're placing our bets, in a sense. I remember when Daddy was celebrating her 90th birthday in Oxford, there were some friends, about 100 friends. Some of you may have been there, right? I'm seeing 2 who are there. And of course Daddy didn't want to just do a normal celebration, sort of, she wouldn't accept it. She wanted to make it into an opportunity of service. And so there was a dialogue. And it was about serving from the heart, remember? And in the middle of the dialogue, one of the participants asked Daddy, "But Daddy, this is all very nice, serving from the heart's a great idea, but what do I do with someone who's really betrayed me?" And Daddy's answer was that, well, you must have betrayed yourself first of all. Because, who told you to, I don't know exactly the words he used, but who told you to believe in that person? It's like placing a bet, isn't it? The people that bet on horses, if the horse doesn't win, what do they do with their ticket? They just, they just tear it up. It's useless. So sometimes we're investing our ego, in fact. It's an ego investment in someone or something, and we're building it up, and it's very, very difficult to remove that investment, because it means that I have to go against myself, in a sense, against my ego self, and that is not easy to do. It takes some time to adjust when someone who I believed in shows another face, when something that I was hoping to happen doesn't happen. And so where are we investing our ego? I find someone, for example, who likes my personality. This is nice company. Let's have some nice chit-chats and let's exchange some things. But we all know that things start off very innocently, and then they build up and up and up, and suddenly I know everything about the other person, that other person knows everything about me, and there's some sort of a commitment subtly that, well, it's very difficult to recognize that I've made some mistake perhaps. So when we look at the whole issue of remembering only Baba, Baba's our only reference point for anything that truly matters, that I have to organize my thinking to go towards Baba and not to consult my own thinking. That's the big effort that all of us have to do. And that's where we have to be real. You probably know that in many countries, when there are elections, I guess most countries, I suppose, there's always a problem with campaign funds. You know, the money is given to a candidate so that they become, you know, they can do their campaign. And of course, if a big company gives money to a candidate, they expect some return from that. And at least in the part of the world that I live, which is South America, it's very, very corrupt in a sense that you're giving money, but you're also expecting that that candidate doesn't do anything to harm your operation, right? That's the last thing that you would expect. And so people give money knowing that their operations are going to be protected by this candidate. That happens in your country? Yeah? Right? So it can happen in this country here too. It can happen here because, you know, sometimes the very things that we need to decide, we don't, because we've invested, the ego has been invested in such a way and set up in such a way that we'll never take the decisions that will affect it. We'll do everything around it without recognizing exactly what it is that we need to change. And there are two ways to live. You can live in the box, in which you're surrounded by all of those things that remind you of your history, that remind you of your CV, that remind you of where you've come from, that remind you of all of the things that you've done in service, that remind you of the relationships. And there you are, surrounded by all of those things, trying to work out how to get out of it, when in fact, as a soul, I'm already out of it. I'm already free. And I have to use that consciousness to sort out the box. I can't sort out the box from within the box, basically. I can't sort out the box from within it. Now, several years ago I remember there was a meeting with the Adakumars, and they'd invited me to come along, and there was one brother who said, you know, I've been in Gyan 11 years, and until now I haven't seen the golden red light of Paramdam. And I said to him, but I haven't seen it either. The poor brother is making effort to have a vision of something. When in fact, for me anyway, meditation and connection with Baba has always been more feeling rather than visuals. Some people have visual experiences. Who has visual experiences here? Yeah? Who has feeling experiences? Most of us. Who don't experience anything? Be honest, when was the last time you really had a fantastic experience in meditation? Hands up those who had a really fantastic experience in meditation today. Sort of creeping up a few, okay. What about the last week? Okay, more. the last year. You see, what are we doing, you know? What's Baba come here to do? Tell the person next to you. I can't hear you from here, but what's Baba come here to do? Tell the person next to you. Okay, what's Baba come here to do for me? For me. Say to the person next to you. Baba's come here to... What did you say? To show me myself, someone said. Now, how much am I around that axle? I mean, that's probably the main axle. I'm here, and Baba's here, and this meeting is for this reason. But how much of the time do I spend around that, and playing with that, and being with that, and feeling it? This is the question. All of the other things are sort of, decoration, really. Everything else is decoration. A couple of years ago, Sister Mira conducted some yoga exercises in which one of them was to die. Go through all of the motions of dying. So what happens when you're actually leaving the body, And there you are, just you, the soul, and all of the things that made sense to you, and all of the things that made part of your history, and all of the little decorations of your life, you're just moving away from it all. Because none of that, in the end, none of it can help you. None of it. So it's not just perhaps to have the experience of dying, but even in silence, these are the sorts of things that we have to imagine. In many years ago, even before Brahma Kumaris, I was very interested in Raj Yoga of Patanjali. And even the principles are the same principles that we follow. So I was already practicing celibacy and all of that before Gyan. And I spent, just to test me, because I was very inspired by Gandhi's autobiography, in which he was doing experiments with himself, fasting and, abstaining from this and from that, and practicing celibacy. And in his book he tells very clearly about how these tests were. And I thought, okay, I'm going to test me. And this was without Baba. And I went to a place and I spent 5 months alone in silence. Without anything, basically. I had one set of clothes. It was like probably the leftovers from my sannyasi period. I must have been a sannyasi in some point. But it was very interesting because I wanted to understand the universe. I wanted to understand God. I wanted to understand me. And I was very frustrated because I didn't have the answers. And that part of it was very easy, just to be alone and be in silence, easy. Even fasting for days on end, easy. But it was not very easy to organize my thinking, really. So the physical part of our existence, and these days we're pretty much attached to it, I'd say. Maybe not attached, at least sort of connected to it. in a way that may not be useful in the future. We're used to routines, and we're used to timings, and we're used to this, and we're used to that. If suddenly all of that was removed, how would I be? Let's just take from the supports that we take from physical comfort. If I didn't have those things, how would I be? Okay. If suddenly something happened to my Lokic family, how would I be? If suddenly something happened to the BKs around me, how would I be? If something suddenly happened and, I lost the function of some organ in my body, how would I be? I know there's a student coming to one of our centers in Brazil, and he became blind when he was 15, which is very different from someone who is blind from birth. But after becoming blind, he finished his school, he finished his university, went on to study a PhD in education, and he's the coordinator of all of the activities for disabled people in the state where he is. So you can imagine if suddenly you lost your vision, physical vision, how would it be? If suddenly you lost your hearing and you were in a silent world, how would it be? I don't know about you people, but I feel sometimes, sometimes I try to imagine such scenarios. If I were removed from this and from this and from this and from this and from this, how whole would I remain? And I guess there are emotional supports that we have, which are just as sticky, I suppose, as the physical supports. We have our intellectual supports, extra material, good conversation, people that we like to churn with and share ideas with. We have, at a subtle level, the support of our excuses that we try to justify. We have the support even perhaps of some of the vices, and maybe in their subtle forms. They're giving us the support of a very short-term comfort. But all of these things, in 1 second can just fade away, just fade away. Think of your favorite food, for example. Got it? What's your favorite food? Think about it. Okay? Got it? Yeah? Think of your favorite music. Play it in your head. Play the music in your mind. Okay? What about your favorite fragrance? Got it? Which rose or jasmine, or maybe, I'm not an incense lover, but some eucalyptus maybe I like. So I'm smelling the eucalyptus trees. I'm in a very beautiful place overlooking a valley, and there's, the sun shining on my face and the breeze is sort of there. And I've got that lasagna in front of me. Mozart's playing in the background, I've got some, it's the eucalyptus trees that are swaying and sort of wafting the fragrance in front of my nose. But you see, all of those things, there's something very, very blatant missing. Baba. Right? And in 1 second, that whole scene can just dissolve. Someone calls and there's bad news, you know. Even the news is so bad that you lose your hunger. You're not hungry anymore. You're not thirsty anymore. You don't see the trees anymore. You don't hear the music anymore. You don't do anything anymore because something's happened that wasn't in the script. Something's happened that wasn't in the script. Now, the only one that can help us when things that are not in the script happen is someone who is beyond the script, right? Baba's not part of that scene at all. He's in another dimension where I should try to remain as much as possible. And from there I can look at these things and appreciate these things. But most human beings, me included, we forget that subtle internal dimension because our senses are too active still. Baba said this morning about the yogi who calms his senses. Baba said this morning about the light that it remains lit. Okay, the light that remains lit. Do I guarantee a constant flow from that source? Because that's the meaning of having one support, isn't it? That there's only one source of the oil in the lamp, let's say. No other thing can make the light bright, make the light burn, and except what Baba gives me. So how much have I been fed really and truly by Baba, let's say today? How much has that source been coming into me in the way that I'm thinking, in the way that I'm interacting, in the way that I'm actually seeing and interpreting the world around me? Because there are, two. Baba gives us light and might, okay? So the light and the power in the light. So how much has, and I'm asking myself now, because I was in several situations to get today, several different scenes, and how much am I guaranteeing that flow from one source? That's the big question. Now, there are two ways, I think. First of all, the thing that we've lost over time since the beginning of the cycle has really just been one thing, and that is the power that we had. With the loss of the power, we lost everything else. And Baba's the only one who can put the power back in the soul. Whatever you do, whoever we talk to, whoever's fantastic and good in front of us and, dancing and singing and full of virtues, whoever they are not the source. Yeah. I'm not such a great understander of Hindi, so I use poetic license and pretend that I understand things sometimes. But the phrase man mana bhava, which means somehow we translate it into remember me alone, probably has a deeper meaning than that, because bhava is somehow something to do with feelings, right? And mana means mind. So man, you belong to me through your feelings, in a sense. You are mine. Feel that you are mine in your mind. I'm not a great translator, but I like that translation for me anyway. Feel that you are mine in your mind. How close am I to Baba? That's the sign of how much support I have in him. So how close do I feel? Does Baba hold me? Does Baba carry me? Does Baba help me to see? Does Baba help me to speak? All of those things are part of that consideration of feeling. And I found even in myself that as soon as we move away from that feeling, ego kicks in and tries to justify why we are away. And two things can happen. We can continue justifying being away. It's because of this one, it's because someone said something, it's because of attraction and I'm not prepared to recognize as an attraction yet. It's because I've become trapped in something or someone. I've been trapped in a situation and, the drama that happened beforehand, whatever. I can continue justifying it, or I can move back and feel close to Baba again and see that it was just a bunch of illusions that I was sustaining. And this perhaps is something that we need to address. Seems to me that we are very passive related to the sort of karmic situation that many of us still have. I don't have any particular karma in a sense with people, maybe here or there. I don't have problems perhaps with money or with wealth, or I don't have problems with health, or I don't have problems with my emotional situation, but I will have something or the other. Every one of us has something or the other to sort out. Would you agree with that? Health, whose major concern at the moment is health? Anyone? Yeah, one person, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes the older ones, when you get to talk to them, all they talk about is the latest sort of doctor and medicine and natural remedy that they've discovered, yeah? Okay, who's worried about finances? It's a big deal at the moment. Lost your job, or you left your job to come to Madhaban and you don't know what's going to happen when you get back. Anyone like that? Oh, couple, fine. Okay, whose major concern is one or the other human being? Just one person is admitting it, I don't believe it. Whose major difficulty on the horizon is in the form of a human being? Could be a Brahmin. Do you remember? It could be another Brahmin, yeah? I was at a retreat of 500 BKs a couple of years ago, and I asked them, how many of you here have suffered more at the hands of another BK than any other human being? 80% put their hands up. 80%. Because our karmic history goes back a long way, right? So whose major concern is with themselves, trying to sort themselves out? Okay. Who doesn't have any concern at all? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fantastic. Fantastic. Whose major concern is Baba? Right. Only one. Okay, fine. I did a survey also recently, a couple of years ago, of Brahmins. And it was a pretty good number, about 200. 200 responded to the questionnaire. And it was like, what is it that occupies your mind more in terms of time? And there was a list of things. Murli was about 10th on the list. The Murli was about 10th on the list, right? Mainly it was other people's behavior. Number one, other people's behavior. I have to dig up this survey. It's very interesting. Number two was my own thinking, right? That I'm thinking. But the support of having only one Baba was sort of down on the list. And that's something that we really need to take into account, isn't it? Because we are here for that reason that you just spoke to your companion about. Baba has come for the reason that you just spoke to your companion about. And how much am I part of what Baba's come to do? What's the percentage? Does my life revolve around that? To what extent does it revolve around that? Now, what I would like you to do, I know it's a big hall and there's a lot of people sitting here. But I'd like you to think about something in a way that can certainly help you to get through to this, okay? And I want to give a few thoughts before we start the meditation. And it's something to do with how we love. We have to learn, more than anything else, how to love as Baba loves. Right? Yeah? I don't have to learn to be detached. I have to learn how to love as Baba loves. You don't find Baba making efforts to be detached, does he? He's detached because he is the ocean of love. Now, if I can sort out the way that I love, I'll probably sort out the rest as well. Everything somehow is connected with that. So ready? Let's do a little mental exercise. Ready? Okay. Sit nobly on your chairs. I want you to bring onto the screen of your mind Bapdada. A subtle meeting with Avyak Bapdada. So I've gone into my subtle costume, my body of light, and I'm mentally in front of Bapdada. So Shiv Baba's using this subtle form of Brahma. Both souls are there, peering at me through the subtle eyes. And I know how much Baba loves me. In fact, the sensation is that he has love only for me. Okay, feel Baba's love. Said in so many words, in so many ways, shown in so many examples. So many demonstrations of that love I've experienced. So here I am getting a full stream of it directly. Okay, keep Baba there. And now I invite someone else. Someone that you really get along with. Someone that you could probably call a close friend. Somebody who understands maybe this relationship that you have with Baba. So there you are with Baba, getting that direct stream of love. And now there's this other person there who could be a favorite person or a friend. And as you look towards that individual mentally, check to see if it's the same love that Baba's giving you. Or is there some mixture? Maybe you've seen virtues and forgotten that Baba's the source of those as well, in that person. Maybe you've seen wisdom and you've forgotten that Baba's the source of the wisdom of that person as well. So check to see if it's the same love. So you're looking at Bapdada, getting that direct stream, and then you're looking at that other individual and checking to see if it's the same flow. Okay, bring onto the screen of your mind someone else now. Someone perhaps who's been especially difficult for you. If you can, someone with whom you haven't had such a good experience. Now there you are, you Bapdada, that favorite person. And now this other one who's come on the scene, someone who's been not particularly easy for you. Now, check to see if the love that Baba has for you and the love that Baba has for that one is the same love that you have for that one. Because it has to be the same. If it's love, there's no difference. Seeing favorite people or difficult people, it's the same love. Check the stream from Baba. Look at both of those individuals, the favorite one and the difficult one, with with the same feeling that Baba has for you. Okay, now, this is not so easy to do, but bring an image of yourself in front of you. See the role, see the situation, see the image. And see if the love that you feel from Baba towards you is the same love that you can give to yourself. It seems to me that the axle around which our lives move is this one. So, feeling this stream of intense love from Baba, no matter who comes in front of us, and even when we see ourselves and the things that we're doing, I can continue with this stream. So when I look inside, I can see this connection to Baba. And when I look outside, I can see its ramifications. It's that which is creating my future. In fact, it's the only guarantee. I've taken Baba's love and made it into something. So let's stay in this consciousness for another half an hour. Okay? We can do our meditation.